So our last evolution topic that we're going to do is origins of life on Earth. So some theories, some experiments that kind of back up the theories as to how life on Earth could have began. So looking at the scientific evidence, there is scientific evidence that provides support for the origin of life on Earth. So Earth was formed 4.6 billion years ago. Okay? And the early environment was very hostile. It was, temperature-wise, it wasn't super awesome. Atmospheric-wise, it really was not. There was not a lot of oxygen in the atmosphere, so it didn't lend itself to being able, for organisms to be able to do cellular respiration, to be able to produce enough energy to grow very large. It was impossible at first for plants to live on the surface, okay, on the ground, as opposed to in water because of the environment. So the Earth's environment was very hostile to living things until about 3.9 billion years ago. Okay. Our earliest fossil that we have found dates back to about 3.5 billion years ago. So that fossil dating back to that time frame does give us some evidence that organisms were alive on Earth at the time. If you look at this calendar over here on the side, let me scoot it over just a little. There you go. Okay. You can see here that we've got prokaryotes. Here's our origin of life on Earth here. Okay. Prokaryotes appearing first, okay, and then eventually we start generating oxygen with photosynthesis. That makes the shift now. So those prokaryotes were doing photosynthesis. That now allows for eukaryotes to develop, and then multicellular eukaryotes, followed then by the diversification of organisms from there. But you'll notice land plants aren't showing up for a very, very long time. These are things like algae, phytoplankton, zooplankton, single-celled organisms are where everything started. So there's been some models of the origin of Earth. Okay, and so one of them, the primitive Earth provided, that the primitive Earth provided the precursors for which the organic molecules could be synthesized. Remember, our organic molecules are things like amino acids, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids. And so the primitive Earth, that hostile Earth that was not really conducive to living organisms, it did provide, however, the precursors so that we could make those organic molecules. There was free energy present, so energy to help drive those chemical reactions. So free energy was present, and there was very little oxygen. So that actual lack of oxygen was beneficial in helping synthesize these organic molecules. There's other theories as well that organic molecules were brought to the Earth by a meteorite or another celestial event. But they were brought to the Earth, and then it grew from there. So some experiments have been done to help do this, to help support and to help kind of mimic Earth's, what they would believe Earth's original atmosphere was. So we have the abiotic synthesis experiment. Abiotic, right, meaning non-living. So we had this reducing atmosphere hypothesis. And we test it by basically trying to form organic compounds. I'm mainly trying to form amino acids as well as being able to form adenine. We need these organic molecules to form the building blocks of life, right? No organic molecules, no living organisms. And then as we join these monomers together, that's going to produce our polymers, right? I join those amino acids together and I get my proteins. Right, I make nucleic acids and I join those together and I get my DNA and my RNA. But I have to have these polymers to replicate, store, and transfer information. No polymers and I can't do this. It is actually thought that RNA may have been the first genetic material. That's our RNA world hypothesis, is that it was actually the first genetic material before DNA. If you can look at this experiment over on the side here, you can kind of see some of this happening. So again, trying to mimic Earth's original atmosphere here. So you've got the heated water mimicking the ocean. The what we believe was the mixture of gases in the primitive atmosphere, mixing that water vapor with those gases, electrical discharge, so lightning, and all of those components were thought to have formed these first organic molecules, these first organic monomers that were then later able to join together. So we'll look closer at some of these experiments in class, and start again, write with this stuff, pick this stuff apart, and practice some more with it in class.